Back home again in Indiana, and yes, it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright for the sycamores for me. The newborn hay sends all its fragrance for the fields I used to roam, and when on this Memorial Day weekend I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, then I long for my Indiana home. But we welcome you here on Racewhat TV and on iRacing Live to a little taster of what could be if you're on the corner of 16th Street and Georgetown, if you are a part of the greatest spectacle in all of racing. The iRacing Indy 500 took place just a few days ago. The real life Indy 500 will take over 300,000 spectators, pack him in that 2.5 mile speedway and say, boys, let's go racing, and let's once again produce a driver that will make immortality. Welcome to Friday Night Primetime, welcome to Racewhat TV, and welcome to the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. Will Vincent with Jake Sperry standing in for Connery Maddock here on Friday Night Primetime. Well, Jake, this is a track that may get so much attention, but it's a track that people think, okay, it's Indy, and therefore it's a nice racetrack, it's fun to watch, blah-de-blah-de-blah, but compare it to Monaco, compare it to Charlotte, Indy always wins out on Memorial Day weekend.
It does, Will, and it's because it's able to produce racing that arguably you cannot find anywhere else in the world. It creates qualifying that is incredibly close. It creates racing that's incredibly close. And let's put the cats amongst the pigeons today, because track temperatures up at an astonishing 45 degrees. Heavy winds coming in from the north at 11, 12 kilometers an hour. Will, this is a tough challenge for 85 laps today.
Oh, yes, it is indeed. Back in 10 seconds. Are you ready for it? Here's your starting grid then for 85 laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Front row of the grid has Michele Constantini along with Christopher Demera on the front row. The gap in qualifying there, Jake, 17 one-thousandths of a second, but you'd argue that Christopher Demera is one of the most accomplished drivers on this 2.5 miler.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Demerits, the iRacing Indy 500 winner in 2016, had to give up his crown to Joshua Chin, who won by 13 thousandths of a second, to condemn me to misery as I failed to become the smuggest man in all of sim racing. But what a fantastic front row it is. Liam Quinn in third, Andreas Eek in fourth. Liam Quinn, of course, there is a championship at stake.
You know what, Jake? I wasn't even going to mention that.
It is Indianapolis. It's where you say you throw the form book out the window. It's where you talk, say, for example, the championship doesn't matter. With 2 rounds to go, with the drop weeks already looking like they're in place, 4 of them, every point counts, and the Indy 500 can throw so many surprises up.
Keep an eye out on Marco Brazil and P number 7 there, Jake, because he has been good the entirety of this 12-week span that we do on Friday Night Primetime. As I see 2 drivers, maybe, going to do this race on pit road, maybe looking for safety rating, but keep an eye out, as I say, on Marco Brazil, because I think he's a dark horse for a race here today. He's had some very good races in this, the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series.
He has, and Marco Aurelio doesn't often come out as one of these drivers that people look at. From Club Brazil, looking to try and make his progress forward. And we don't often talk about how Brazil does in IndyCar circles. They don't often get their mention. But Marco Aurelio, proving that he can fight at the front of this field, proving that he can be up there for championship pictures, proving, Will, that he is just as deserving as any one of the 23 drivers in this field to take this grid and have a shot at taking victory on Friday primetime.
It's going to be a fantastic race here today as we turn our attention then to your lead driver, as they head themselves then down towards turn number 3 and 4. What we've seen here, Jake, this race could either be green to the end or full of cautions.
It'll be one of the two, Will. You've hedged your bets very, very nicely, but it depends on how these drivers stack up in the early stages and whether the gaps exist. For Michele Costantini, it's about how he holds off demerit, and we saw when he was in that 500 that he did like to go very, very short when it came to his strategies.
Let's get ready then for 85 laps here around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Racesport TV, fan immersion. 85 laps, Friday night prime time will start now. Well, early battles between Costantini and demerit goes on hard there, Jake. But we got trouble on the racetrack. First caution of the day might well be coming out here, but no, we stay green for the moment.
Oh, massive, massive incident. I'm not sure we're having cautions at all today, Will. Werner into the wall, out of one, then through two. He's up on the high side. Looks to come down a bit. It's contact between himself and Holt. Werner tries to hold it. Ivan saw the instant bystander, and he gets caught hard into the catch fence.
Yeah, Andreas Warner then running the same colours as Scott Dixon ran, and that's a big crash. And you're right there, Jake. That all started at turn number 1, so you need to have a look at it again. The run down the front straightaway, and again, the draft in these IR18s are unpredictable at best. In towards one, on board of Warner, pushes up high, into the wall, and then now you see the run through turn number 2. Andreas Warner will then just push that car. He gets a little bit of tag then as he comes down a little bit, and he just cannot control that car. 3-car incident, but we do stay green for the time being.
We do stay green as, once again, Christopher Demerit goes to the front as it is a 5, 6, 7, 10-car train. Looking forward as in 4th position, 5th position. Henry Bennett looking to attack Liam Quinn. Not really too much he can do at the moment with Zach Campbell waiting in the wings. I've had a look at Zach Campbell throughout the first 4 laps, Will, and I've seen that over through turn 2, he's been very, very tight to that inside curb. He is taking liberties right now with this Indiana home.
We are on board. Michele Costantini then on the run out of corner number 4 down towards the start-finish line, and Michele Costantini looking for the race lead over the broken aero machine of Christopher Demerit, and Costantini will get that lead done. Great speed graphic then on the right hand side of your screen right now, down to about 219 miles an hour through turn number 2. But again, that's 219 miles an hour, Jake, and that's about as fast as they go down in towards turn number 1 at Baku in Azerbaijan in Formula 1.
Exactly, a lot of pace going on here, and well, that pace only goes quicker and quicker and quicker. The difference between here and Azerbaijan is that you don't get a break. Heavy wide goes Demerit. This opens the door to the inside. Goes Liam Quinn looking for 2nd position. Demerit, of course, was very upset after his Indy 500. He didn't get what he wanted. They're going to battle it out through 2. Demerit holds it high. Quinn has to back out of it for fear of running into him. And look at now how the draft and actually the dirty air effect comes into play. After 6 laps, they are all now starting to spread out.
Yeah, live time with scoring will be available, by the way, in about 30 seconds time here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. We do apologise for a slight delay on that one. The BBC had actually earlier on this weekend. But out front, Michele Constantini does lead away, and there's the gap. It is 0.4 of a second. But 0.4 means absolutely nothing. It's all about timing here, Jake. And it's a case of these drivers have to do one pit stop to the end. And if you demerit, you start saving fuel very, very early.
Yeah, you definitely have to make sure that the fuel save game is on point, and when it is on point, you make sure that you run your strategy. Do not make mistakes, as I've seen Richard Arnaud lose 2, maybe 3 positions over the course of the run out of turn number 4. All a mistake there, Will, coming through turn number 1. Down on the apron, pushes high, gets a bit of the wall. Repassar goes through, as does Thierry Renson, as does Oliver Dean.
Yeah, replay on board of him then with Richard Arnaud. There's the tap. There's one. And there's 2 drivers going past him then, as Arnaud falls down into the 15th position on track. We have been green since the start of this motor race, Jake. And again, that means that we always have to start considering what these guys have to do in terms of their cars. We're on board right now with Gorgon Newjocks in the number 22 DH machine, sponsoring Logical Vortex Sim Racing. And the thing is then, guys like Logical Vortex Sim Racing have been in this car basically since day number 1. It works out what they need to do for the 500, but now, in a shorter race here, Jake, they can basically be more aggressive in terms of their strategy.
They certainly can, and talking of aggressive, Quinn was looking for the run through 2. He now has to take the high line now through the entirety of 2 as they make the charge back to 3 again. And you look at teams like Logical Vortex, you have that history, you have that heritage, you know what it takes to be in the big dance with teams like Broken Arrow, Sadie, you know, you keep talking about the likes of Banshee, Absolute, you know, the rest of it. You look at that team, you look at how important they are in terms of where they stand in IndyCar. You could arguably say this is where they make most of their winnings throughout an entirety of the season. They do so well, and they keep themselves at the forefront of people's minds. That's why Vortex are always teams to watch.
Well, actually, let's talk about like mechanics and the people that do the stuff behind the scenes. Leonard Geed was actually sacked from SPM after James Hinchcliffe failed to qualify for the Indy 500. And let's not forget, this is the same Leonard Geed who had got, what, 3 Audi victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That shows how cutthroat this industry is, because at Indy, in terms of real life, you make your money on 2 weekends.
You certainly do. Demerit into the wall through 4 as he just got caught outside of the darker tarmac, the rubbered-in tarmac, as he went through 4. So he gets himself once again side by side through 1. But look at that. He goes high. He's in the fence again, twice in 2 corners. And now Christopher Demerit is making really, really big mistakes. It allows Henry Bennett in.
That was a big lift there by Christopher Demerit. Let's get a replay of that one once more time for you on board in towards 1. That wasn't even the grade. That was him just saying, okay, I fancy the turn wall number 1 right now. And Christopher Demerit, again, he's one of these drivers. He's been a former winner on the iRacing Indy 500 in 2017 here, Jake. But he didn't have any luck, really, in the new car.
No, he didn't, and he hit the wall again through 3 as well. So really, Christopher Demerit is rubbing against the wall more than any driver I've ever seen, and getting away with it as well. Gap has extended 1.5 seconds now at the front of the field to Michele Costantini. Crucial for his title hopes, because he knows that he's got to get as many points as he can on the likes of Liam Quinn, the likes of Henry Bennett. Down to the inside goes Said Bennett, and Said Bennett moves up into 3rd place.
On board a Bouteloup there for his pit stop, and it's going to be... wait for it. A long stop, actually, for Bouteloup. He's got a speeding penalty, I think, on top of everything else there, Jake, because that pit stop is going to be over 20 seconds for him.
Well, it's a massive, massive pit stop, and for Jeremy Bouteloup, you have to be careful about this pit road. It's not going to be the easiest thing, and in fact, he actually pulls it off again. So, Jeremy Bouteloup, yep, I think that's day done. He takes a tow. I think Jeremy Bouteloup maybe got damage, Will, came down onto the lane. The damage wasn't secured and wasn't able to go and feel comfortable. As such, I think Jeremy Bouteloup is now out of the event.
Yeah, Michele Constantini, by the way, leads 1.5 over Liam Quinn in the battle for your race lead as drivers storm themselves through turn number 3, the short through on the south end of the racetrack towards turn number 4 as well. I have to say, Constantine's done a fantastic job in this race right now, Jake. 1.5 now over Liam Quinn as they head themselves on the exit of turn number 2.
Well, it was a 40.875 last time by for Michele Costantini. For Liam Quinn, it was a 40.930, so it took out effectively half a tenth over that last lap. And that doesn't seem like much, but you add up those half a tenths, there's a reason why 1.5 seconds is gained over the course of 14 laps as Richard Tam now makes his way through on Christopher Demerit, who is only going backwards. Next up on the train, Marco Aurelio is again almost clipping the wall through 4. There was Demerit. Aurelio comes up, Eek comes up, Reposade may be waiting in the wings as well, only a bit further back. But yes, Michele Costantini has done a great job of breaking away. He's been fortunate that Christopher Demerit has been a rolling roadblock.
Yeah, we're on board right now with Marco Aurelio Brazil. Let's get that camera angle sorted out for you as he battles for P number 7 on track. There is the driver of Christopher Demerit, who has not yet made a pit stop here today. It's worth noting as well, the battles have been going on between Vortex and Broken Arrow and Banshee and all the other teams. That's what we love about the month of May there, Jake.
Yeah, it certainly is. And while the month of May holds a special place in your heart, and I believe it's starting to hold a very special place in mine as well. Little battle further down, though, right now. You've got Sylvain Moraine versus Axel Straub. This one for 15th out on track. Good run here from Moraine as he looks to get Straub into turn 1 as they pass the yard of bricks. That's the first time we've said that one today. And unable to make that move through 1, but probably setting this one up for 3, Will.
Yeah, as we're on board, actually, with Marco Aurelio Brazil again. In P number 7, you can see 2 wide behind him. That's Andreas Eek and moving himself ahead of Christopher Demerit. I will say one thing. We never really talk about Andreas Eek at all in a broadcast, but he's one of those drivers, a bit like Marty Piatella, Jake, who finds a way of getting into the top 10 in any race that he gets into.
Yes, he does. He just has that ability to manufacture positions, and he started 4th, he fell right back down through the field, but he's managed to pick himself up another position. So maybe not liking conditions here today, but certainly still able to carve out a result. Yes, he's still -4, but circulating around right now is going to be the key. We are down to 18 vehicles on the leading lap.
And of those vehicles who are no longer in the race, they are Jeremy Boothloop, David Williams, Andreas Warner, and Evan Sol. We know that Boothloop brought that car towards pit road, Jake, and I just don't think he was bothered enough to finish off the rest of the race. But that is 3 drivers affiliated with VRS Grinder Sim Sports out in the first 20 laps of this 85-lap race.
Well, this isn't Coanda's home, shall we say. They're more familiar with a McLaren MP430, but they have been trying. Andreas Verne, arguably their best IndyCar driver out there at the moment. Matt Backham had a very good qualification period. And if they have every right to challenge and they have the iRating to put up to go and race, then by all means, let them race. But if they don't finish on their heads and on their iRatings and safety ratings, so be it.
Yeah, we've got a battle going on in terms of P number 12 and 13 on track right now. Let's go on board the driver of Terry. Let's go on board with him right now. Actually, in a Menard style. Actually, no, I'm not going to say Menard. It's more of a race style car then. In towards turn number 1. Thierry Rinton then, number 19 machine. Currently in P number 12 there, Jake.
Yeah, currently in P number 12, +1 position so far for the 19 machine. And right now, for the Club Benelux driver, behind him, Loic Barb, who has come all the way up from 21st to 13th. So he's certainly been charging. He was actually a 10th quicker on that last lap. So Thierry trying to get to Oliver Dean, who currently finds himself in his own battle now with the falling like a stone Christopher Demerit, who gets another wiggle out of 4. Here comes Ollie Dean down to the inside, and that should be as easy as you find overtakes at Indiana.
Yeah, let's talk about the gaps that we have on track right now. We have had up 4 positions Zach Campbell. He's now running in P number 4. But we've also had Tony Reposade up 8 places. 8 places. He's up from 16th to 8th right now. We've had Oliver Dean up 9 spots here today. Luke Bird then is up 8. And Matteo Ugolotti is up 9 places as well. But Ugolotti, I think that's more about the fact that when he came in on the end of that final lap then, he is one of those drivers trying to charge back through the field here, Jake, but not really doing as much as he can.
Well, Matteo Ugolotti for that 1050 Barbanera racing team, he knows that he's in the title fight. He's got to get results today, and he's not found them. Had to start from the back of the field with an atrocious qualifying time of 52.5 seconds. He knows that he's got to get moving, and his 41.6s right now puts him on exactly the same pace as Thierry Renson. Probably not much further he can go on current pace, but he needs a bit of toe to help with, and after a couple of mistakes, he's allowed Loic Barb to just break away from him as Barb now looks to attack Renson, and all of them attack Demerit.
Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher Demerit at the line. Lap number 27 of 85 here on Racesport TV. Michele Constantini continued to lead over Liam Quinn. And Jake, the gap is half a second between these two drivers right now, as actually Quinn looks as though he's not really gaining much.
No, it was a mistake actually from Costantini, and that mistake happened on lap 24, 41.351, 0.4 of a second slower than what his previous times are, as Richard Arnaud makes his way onto pit road. He just got to wiggle through one wheel. He had to lift out of the throttle to make sure that nothing would happen for Michele Costantini, and as such, his lead has halved, but I'd rather have a halved lead than, shall I say, Will, no race at all.
Well, yeah. As right now, having a look as we've got a driver on pit road, that's Henry Bennett. Bennett, who's been so good in the Classic IndyCar series this season. He looks as though he's going to be one of the drivers that will be good in the iRacing Indy 500. He's pitting early here, Jake, and he's going to be out and away in 9.6 seconds. That will indicate tires, fuel, maybe a wing change as well for Henry Bennett. Out and away, goes over the bump then on the entry towards turn number 1 as he's going to arc that car out, arc it back in, and he should just about stay on the lead lap.
Yes, he should just be able to, and he does compared to Michele Costantini at the moment. He's done very well. George Nujox is down on the road as well, on the lane, sorry, and that's going to be crucial as he came in at the end of lap 28. Now we're hitting that window, Will. Two-stop race pretty much. It's going to be about how close you can get. Costantini gets a big wiggle as he almost clips the wall out of 3.
Yeah, the thing that's always worth noting is that, oh my word, Costantini's on towards pit road. As always, I would say there, Jake, a retaliation there. So Costantini's in, lap number 30 of 85. Everyone has to do 2 pit stops to the end, but when do you do it? How much fuel do you have? Costantini is on towards pit road. We also got Richard Tan and Marco Brazil on towards pit road at the same time.
Well, follow the leader, and Michele didn't really have too much to do. Yes, he did, so that's going to cost him more time here in comparison to Liam Quinn. And Quinn is just going to be reveling at every little thing that goes on right now, as George Nujox is actually behind by a lap. As things stand, Quinn will stay out. There'll be the new tyre advantage there for Michele Costantini, but crucially enough, he's got to use that now compared to Liam Quinn. If I was Liam Quinn, if I got the word that he'd done that sort of mistake, I would have dived instantly, Will, to cover it off.
Yeah, but I'll say one thing. The driver of Richard Tam, he may be one to think about towards getting a podium at the end of this one. He's coming out of pit road right now. We go on board of him. His pit stop time, 8.8 seconds. Lane to lane, 35.6. So he might have taken a little bit less fuel right now, Jake. But if he can get into the coattails of Gordon Nujox, he is going to be golden for the next 20 or so laps.
But he's got a lot of time to gain, and he's got to get past the lap traffic of Axel Straub as race leader Liam Quinn makes his way onto the lane at 95 kilometers an hour. It's now about how his pit stop as Andreas Eek dives down onto the lane as Matteo Ugolotti, currently 1 lap down, has already made his stop. This is crucial for Liam Quinn. He needs to make it work. But Richard Tam, he certainly has a lot of work to do in this second stint. Yeah,
Liam Quinn then on towards his pit box. Tyres off, tyres on. Long, 10.4 seconds there for Liam Quinn. He'll be about 2.5 seconds, I would think, behind your race leaders of Rusin and also Demerit then, as here comes Liam Quinn. We're on board of him right now.
That's Costantini around.
And Bennett is going to be close-ish then. So Costantini is ahead. Bennett is not going to be able to gain in towards turn number 3 and 4, but Quinn down into what is currently P number 5, although we have got Rowan on towards pit road, and we'll update you on the standings as soon as we can. But it essentially means that Costantini leads this motor race by, get this here, Jake, 1.3 seconds over Liam Quinn.
That's going to be crucial because there's not going to be much help for Quinn as side-by-side George Nujox and Zach Campbell battling it out for 4th and 5th position. They stay side-by-side into 2. Hold it together, boys. Again, Campbell low on that inside, but manages to keep the low side working. I think they may be side-by-side for 2/3, if not 3/4 of a lap. No, Campbell's going to have to back out of it for now. He's unable to really make that move. But you are right, Will. It's 1.3 seconds, but remember, it's 1.3 seconds, and the tyres favour Quinn.
Zach Campbell currently has a 4.1 second deficit over the driver of Michele Costantini, but there's still 1 pit stop to go, and Zach Campbell will move himself up into P number 4 in towards turn number 1 over Gorg and Nujox there. And Logical Vortex Sim Racing have been such a big team there, Jake, in terms of not only IndyCar but the GP World Championship Grand Prix Series, the RFCT Series, and other series as well. Vortex look to go But the question is, have they got enough to go?
Not in the World Championship Grand Prix Series, no. They only have Balázs Remenyik, and as much as Costantini wants to get into it, the likes of René Venderbosch as well, there's not enough help and support at Vortex to make that work. They're probably their strongest suit at the moment has actually been their GT side, even though it hasn't seemed to have brought too many good results. I hark back to Daytona at the start of the year where they got second in the GTE category. They know exactly what they're capable of, they know what they need to do, and the results, they'll only continue as they grow, as New Jocks there getting pretty much piece of paper in between the front and rear tyres there of Zach Campbell. They almost interlocked.
They did indeed, as Zach Campbell will be able to hold on to P number 4 for the moment on the exit of turn number 4, but now down towards turn number 1. Here comes the driver of Gordon New Jocks down on the outside in towards turn number 1. New Jocks has to pick up that pace earlier. But I'll tell you one thing, New Jocks on the outside line is working fantastically right now, Jake.
I saw Demerit take that outside line as well, and even with the issues that he had, he was able to hold that line and hold that line well. You can hold the outside line in these conditions, and right now it's proving that there is a benefit to doing so. And also you would say, Will, drivers running that outside line, looking to try and rubber that in so that they have a lane of opportunity to attack when it comes to the final laps.
Yeah, they do indeed. We need to replay our feed for about 2 minutes here, as we just had ourselves, well, another one of those situations. As actually, no, we're not. We're going to go straight back to the live action here and pay our attention to Michele Constantini. The gap between himself and Liam Quinn is 1.4 right now. The gap over the last few laps here, Jake, is that Constantini did gain last time by, but he had lost the same amount over the previous 2 laps.
Yes, he did, and well, for Michele Costantini, he's had to get past Gerald Chevalier, who is lap traffic in the 6th, currently in 13th position, shows you how many are left on the leading lap. It's always going to be difficult to navigate that traffic, and look at how that time comes down once again. 40.7 for Costantini, 40.2 this time for Liam Quinn. I wonder if drivers are even at this stage using fuel settings here to try and save some time, because they know it's only 2 and a little bit stops. You might as well save a little bit of fuel and put the least amount of fuel in for the final stop.
But it is still 48 laps to go here, Jake. That's the thing with these drivers. They still got to do at least 1 fuel pit. Do they come in early and split down the middle, or do they go and do they go hard?
Well, I think that most drivers prefer to go and go hard because they get a firm asphyxiation of where they can go, where they can attack. Those who will look to come in early are looking to play the strategy game. Arguably, you could say that they gain the advantage early against those who pit late, but then once those drivers come in and pit, you have to hold off, and it's tougher to defend than it is to attack.
It is indeed. As that's the one thing as well, to John Henry. He's got Liverpool FC right now in the Champions League final against Real Madrid. And, I mean, we don't have football sponsorships or any backing, so to say, but John Henry running not only iRacing, but New England Sports Network, as well as Liverpool Football Club and Boston Red Sox. We've got to give a shout out there, Jake, to John Henry and Liverpool for this Saturday.
Yes, we certainly do, and whilst iRacing's finances may not be standard chartered as it were, they certainly are looking stronger and stronger as the years go by. A big shout out to Liverpool. Let's see if they can do it once again. But right now, Zach Campbell falling away from things, Liam Quinn doing okay, but once again the traffic played a massive factor, trying to get past Chevalier, who maybe wasn't as wide and was trying to hold his run and his line as much as possible. That gap, which was at 1.1, will instantly up to 1.9 seconds, and now looks like it increases almost to 2 seconds exactly.
Yeah, and also one thing worth noting is Henry Bennett over Liam Quinn, because Quinn had worse laps compared to Bennett on that number 38 and 39, but Bennett lost time that last lap, and that's because Bennett got into that what we call the magical 1 second mode there, Jake. You can gain time, but you can also lose time, and that's about how you adjust that car. So high downforce, low downforce, and what you do over the course of a long run.
Exactly. There's in-car adjustments that these vehicles can have, and the Dallara IR18, I'd argue, actually holds a lot of importance, not just in iRacing, but for IndyCar itself. Will the iRacing guys, or sorry, should I say the IndyCar guys, haven't actually done an Indy 500 in these vehicles. Where is the prime place to go and test that out?
Well, yeah, indeed so. Of course, we saw a number of drivers go and do it a week or so ago, but they only have, let's say this one thing, Jake, about 3 weeks in Indianapolis. Oh my word, we got trouble on the racetrack. I just saw a driver slow down in the middle of turn number 3, and I think we might well have ourselves something close to a caution then. We do stay green for the time being, but Jake, what I saw on the exit of turn number 3, how we stay green, I have no idea.
I have no idea because I didn't actually see what happened. It was a big, scary incident. And I have no idea who's gone sideways, who's had the issue, but a big one, and that always does have that potential to go off and cause a lot of drama.
Replay on board with Henry Bennett. So on board with Henry Bennett right now as he comes in towards turn number 3. Now, is this just one of those? I think it is, actually. We did see a car ahead of him who just pushed up into the wall on the exit of turn number 4. But Bennett still remains in that 3rd place here, Jake. And, well, we have also got battles going on behind. That is between Sylvain Barani right now and Tony Ripperside. And that's about number 11.
It is for P11, but the gap difference about 2.4 seconds, and look who's charging to try and get back into this one. It's Costantini and now Liam Quinn, who in the second half of these stints, Will, is starting to bring that gap back down. Once again, the gap comes down under a second for the first time in about 10 laps or so. Liam Quinn knows that he's got the setup that brings himself back in. 40.9 against the 40.7. This is very clearly, I can go quicker than you. I can bring this gap back to a second.
And that gap has decreased in the last 3 laps as well. Jake, here's the thing. Liam Quinn, lap number 42, was 1/100th of a second faster. Lap number 43, 1/10th of a second faster. Number 44, almost a quarter of a second faster than Michele Constantini right now as they come past the Largy Bricks once again. There are 40 laps to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
There are 40 laps to go, but that gap coming down almost like a woodcutter, an axeman here, Will. Liam Quinn is just chopping down the tree, second by second, 10th by 10th, and if he even has to, he'll do it 1000th by 1000th if he wants to get there. The good news is he's closing at an opportune time. The bad news is there's traffic, and Moraine's 41.8 against the 42.2 of Richard Arnaud. They both have to get past both vehicles incredibly quickly, and look at the contrasting lines already from Liam Quinn, who went high to try and get the low and get the run as they make their way to 1.
Yeah, and for Liam Quinn as well, he knows the way of doing this. He's done it so many times before. We're on board with him right now as he battles Michele Constantini. Last time by 7/10ths of a second faster. He got the draft. He's moving forward with 39 laps to go. You can get a social of us, of course, here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Visit us on Facebook /Racesport TV at Racesport TV on Twitter. But Liam Quinn then decides to move to turn number 3 in towards 4 once again. And Quinn now battling for your race lead.
He is now, and Arnaud will be the next one to get past. Richard Arnaud for the Race Clutch team that wanted probably a better result than this isn't going to get it. The gap is 2/10 as they make their way to 1 and then towards 2. Arnaud, who probably is just trying to run his own race right now, will be a little bit concerned about the battling 2 behind, won't want to be any part of it, doesn't want to sacrifice his pace as well. But look at Liam Quinn, within 1/10 of a second. Was that a defensive move there by Costantini? I think it is. He was angling to try and get past Arnaud.
Yeah, indeed. So you got yourself a Logical Vortex Sim Racing versus Team Talent then going in towards turn number 3. And I will say one thing. By Constantini, that's a very defensive line taken, and that's so defensive with 30 laps to go. All these drivers, Jake, still have to make 1 pit stop.
They do, but I don't think that Costantini was actually did himself any favors. He almost was forced to defend there. He was put into a position where he had no other choice. He knew that the traffic was in front. He didn't want to go too wide, cost himself with Arnaud on the outside. He had to defend it to keep his race lead and to keep himself running forward. Now, if you look at what happened then into one, you saw that Costantini didn't defend the move into the opening corner, and Quinn wasn't close enough. Why? Because Costantini didn't have any reason to defend that. He knows he doesn't have a reason to defend, but he has to put his car in positions, Will, where he doesn't get absolutely 100% forced to defend.
So, okay, if you're Liam Quinn right now, where do you go and when do you go for it? Because here's the thing, is that having to deal with all the violations of pit road may be one thing, but getting an Indianapolis 500 win is another. Right now, Liam Quinn is only, and get this, 4 tenths of a second behind as he works himself in towards the north end of the racetrack, turn number 3. Once again, can Quinn actually find a way past the logical Vortex Sim Racing number 9 machine, Jake, as they've got themselves now with 35 laps to go?
I think Costantini's just managed to find another gear because he's extending that gap out again, okay? That gap comes down slightly that last time by, but a 40.7 midway through a stint, I wouldn't be too much shaking my head over that sort of pace. Remember as well, the battle for the podium not secure at the moment, Will. Zach Campbell's only within a second and a half here of Henry Bennett, who has just been running his own world. Campbell's had to deal with the traffic. That's why he's lost 7 tenths over that last lap. But my goodness, he is closing down Henry Bennett.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fantastic battle, actually, because Zach Campbell is one of those drivers that many people ignore over the month of May, but he did lose 6 tenths of a second last time by there, Jake. But before that, Zach Campbell was really closing up to the rear of Henry Bennett, and that's the battle for 3rd place on track. That is now 1.4 seconds. Campbell has a lot of work to do. He did gain 4 100ths of a second that last time by, but dirty air is always a factor at IMS.
He was the only man that last lap by to still be in the 40-second barrier, 40.968. You're right, though. The dirty air barrier does come into play, but right now he's got to try and ignore that and just chase. If he can't chase, you pit. But he maybe is slightly out of the window, maybe by 3 laps or so before they get themselves to 30 to go. Any eyes, still no eyes. They're just a little bit too far out to start thinking about making those stops, and I expect them to go at least another 10 laps yet. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live, but we'll be back with the conclusion of this race after this.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as well. Michele Constantini is battling it out right now, but second round pit stops are a go here, Jake. And we got Matteo Ugolotti on towards the lane. And in towards the pit road and overshooting as well.
Oh, big disaster for Matteo Ugolotti. Also in, Marco Aurelio looking to make his final stop of the day as well. Knows he has to do it. In comes Richard Tam and Zach Campbell. Campbell, very, very crucial. He was in that battle with Henry Bennett. He needs to get himself maybe a little bit of time. He brought that gap down, Will, to 1.1 seconds. And with fresh tyres, Henry Bennett must be careful. He may be thinking about, when do I stop?
Yeah, Richard Tam is on towards pit road in the absolute zero. Number 23 machine on towards lane. He will come. But here's the thing, Jake. We have had 0 cautions in this race so far. We always expect some form of a caution at IMS. And if you do come out on towards pit road and out in front of your race leader, you will gain yourself 1 lap overall almost. So, if you're Michele Constantini right now, you're thinking, okay, I've led most laps here today, but I still got to think. I still got to worry.
Yes, and he's just behind Zach Campbell, so that's going to be very telling as well. He can pick up the toe where Liam Quinn at 0.8 of a second back, if not now a second back, is going to really, really struggle to reel in Costantini. In fact, he dives down onto the lane now. He's going to cut his losses, knowing that the draft's there. Henry Bennett will instantly follow, and now Costantini, with the slower tyres, is out there all on his own, scrapping with a Zach Campbell getting up to speed. Yep,
so here is some Constantini then. We're on board with him. As on pit road, we have got ourselves drivers of Zach Campbell, Ryan. Newdrox has made a pit stop, and Rupasard is on to pit road as we speak. But let's go on board then. Michele Constantini down towards turn number 3. South end of the racetrack in towards turn number 4. And again, I don't think he's going to... he will come in towards pit road there, Jake. Slows it down to regulation speed, and here comes then Michele Constantini on towards pit road.
Yeah, Costantini then onto pit road, and Will, in just a few laps after we go out of this, I want you to get a look at Richard Tam's pit entry. That's very crucial, but keep on Costantini because he needs to come in, needs to make a good stop in the logical vortex. Sim Racing Machine goes to the final box, and he has mastered it this time as he makes the difference between asphalt and concrete. Looking at where Liam Quinn is in comparison, he's now heading himself the run to the yard of bricks one more time to start lap 60 of his event. Out and away goes Michele Costantini, and Costantini trying to get up to speed. Quinn's already going through 1, and I think that it's going to be very, very tight as they come to 2.
Here we are on board, well, looking from up above actually at Costantini. Here we are then. Here is Liam Quinn. Quinn down to the outside now. Battle for position, and Quinn will get that one in towards turn number 3 to Quinn. He's up in towards P number 2. And Liam Quinn is one of those drivers who has always been an underdog at IMS. But now, I think that Quinn is looking just go home or go broke.
But here comes back Costantini, who's picked up the pace, and he goes to the inside with the quicker vehicle in the early stages, and he gets his position back. Quinn will want to fight this one back here. Lap 61 of 85, 25 laps to go, and already you can see Quinn using the toe to his advantage, angling himself down to the inside, and should very comfortably make this one back unless the driver of Costantini wants to run the outside. He does, and look at this. He looks to try and get back in the toe to make one work again.
Yeah, lap on board then on Michele Constantini. This is RaceWhat TV fan immersion. Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize. Basically, Jake, it's a traditional bank holiday weekend in the UK. Yes, so we are going to be back live. We are almost live here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are currently working ourselves on lap number 69 of 85. That means, Jake, we are into what I like to call the think bank mode. Yeah, Constantini right now is almost 2 seconds actually behind Lynn McQuinn. Henry Bennett is a further 2.5 seconds back. Who would have thought that one at the start of this broadcast here, Jake? Liam Quinn is leading two very established IndyCar drivers by 4.5 seconds at the greatest spectacle of all of sim racing. And one thing about this one, Jake, is that you always say strategy is key at this racetrack, but it doesn't really come into play until about lap number 196 of a 500-mile race. And if you're going to be proportionate about this, that'll be in about 7 laps' time. But behind, there is worth noting there are still some battles going on down in your mid-pack. The most important one right now, Liam Burke. He's currently in fee number 9, and he's hunting down the driver of Marco Brazil. Brazil has fallen back big time over the last few laps. I think he's hoping everyone's got to make one more stop here, Jake, because otherwise Brazil is going to be stuffed in this motor race. Okay, I'm going to talk to you now as Sim Racing Observer. Marco Brazil, P number 8, in what many people classify as a throwaway race here. He is currently 3.8 seconds behind Matteo Ugolotti. What has gone wrong with Marco Brazil right now? Yeah, we've got to talk about the 89% race relative humidity, 81-degree track temperature here, and it does make it hot for the drivers here, Jake. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of these people, of course, saw the iRacing Indy 500 or the Indy Elite Series Indy 500. They were on much lower temperatures. As the temperature goes up, we know now from this car that it gets far harder to drive it. Of course, Cam Hinchcliffe is not a part of the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500. He might want to be in the course. You don't do that one until you know that you're good to go. But there's still 10 laps to go. Still 25 laps, 25 miles to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I will say one thing. Constantini did lose some speed on number 75 then over Liam Quinn. He did gain a second almost over him in the previous 2 laps. But now for Constantini, there's lap traffic again in front of him as he works from the exit of turn number 4 towards the yard of bricks. And he's not going to catch that traffic before turn number 1 there, Jake. Oh. And for constant, and that's the whole thing there, Jake. Some drivers set their car up to work in the traffic. Some drivers work in clean air. And for Constantini, he's lost out now. That is almost game over. Liam Quinn might well win this motor race just by default right now. Yeah, we're looking at Macarena Brazil right now versus Lloyd Barber as they battle for P number 8 on track. That is one battle going on track, but we're also going to keep an eye out then on this driver, the driver of Henry Bennett, battling it out with Zach Campbell, who's 1.7 seconds behind him right now. But Jake, the more important battle is the one going on ahead, and that is the one between himself and Michele Constantini. Only 4 tenths of a second. Now, Bennett at this stage of the race still does have the ability to win it, but Bennett needs to drive hard over these last 8 laps. And also, it is worth noting that Bennett did come in later compared to some of his compatriots. Yeah, and we're looking for my aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of RaceBot TV. As we're looking at Andreas Eek closing down the Gordon, who jogs the gap is down to half a second. But I don't think Andreas Eek actually has anything right now, Jake, as they come down to 4 to go, 5 to go even. Oh my word, he's around. Yellow. And that, well, it won't be it there, Jake, but it'll be 1 to go, maybe 2 to go.
Big, heavy. Outside. Big, heavy.
Yep, so Jake, here we are then, with 5 laps to go. It will likely be 1 to go, maybe 2 to go when we go back to green.
And that's going to be very, very telling because it's about who's got that first lap, 1 lap pace, sorry. Costantini was struggling. If he's able to get anything left out of those tyres, he will use that now. Anybody who was short on fuel saves it now in this safety car period. Anybody now who looks to go out of this one for the race win, they have to get past the 8 machine.
Yeah, indeed so. So, we've got ourselves still there, Jake. 1 more 500-mile race to go, and that is the Pack Majors coming to your way in just a few days' time.
Well, Pack Majors will be on the Global Sim Racing channel. Euro Majors most certainly will. And when you look at that Majors field, they're fighting for their championship. Everybody may be differing abilities. That's a much more difficult challenge. And look at that. Quinn's down on the lane.
Why are you doing that, Liam Quinn?
They all come in, Will.
Well, yeah, they all come in, but is anyone staying out?
Well, there's only 6 on the leading lap here. So Matteo Ugolotti, he comes in. In comes Andreas Eek. They're all in for fresh tyres, Will.
Okay, The fact that Liam Quinn comes in and he's still able to hold the race lead, that in itself is impressive. Because I'll tell you one thing, you might want to have considered maybe going off strategy. Here they come out of pit road. Quinn will come out first, then Constantini. Bennett is at one position, Campbell at one position. Eek is down 3.
Yeah, Andreas Eek did not get the best pit stop. He drops behind Ugolotti. But now, what a massive bonus actually this is for Matteo Ugolotti, who was nowhere all day long, Will. And suddenly, he's fighting up there for a top 5. And his championship rivals are all in front of him as well. So his points haul loss is going to be next to nothing.
Yeah. We're on board right now with the driver of Zach Campbell. There's the thing now. With 4 laps to go, I predict at the most here, Jake, it's going to be a 2-lap shootout. And you got Liam Quinn, Michele Constantini, and you got yourself Henry Bennett, Zach Campbell, Matteo Ugolotti, and Andreas Eek all battling for the race victory.
Gloves off. It doesn't matter who you are, what your name is, or how much respect you have. It doesn't matter. Now you just got to beat the man in front of you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. There is nothing that can prepare you for dogfights like these. This is the big, big worry in front for drivers like Liam Quinn, who absolutely must defend. Costantini absolutely must attack, as does Bennett, as does Campbell, as does Ugolotti. And this is going to be almost, I believe, Will, as crazy as the Indy 500 finish we had just a week ago.
Yeah, I'll say one thing as well, that if you're the driver of Ugolotti or Campbell or Bennett, there's one thing you could have done, and that would have been to make yourself, your tyres, as low pressure as possible, because that's one way. With only 2 laps to go, in my opinion, until we go back to Greens, go on board then with the driver of Liam Quinn, we do actually see the lights go off, so there will be 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go means that basically anyone on the lead lap can win this motor race. And I will say right now, Ugolotti has got an advantage, as does Zach Campbell, as does Henry Bennett, because being the leader, coming to the white flag does not work, Jake.
It does not, and we've seen how the leader has not managed to make it so many times before. We saw it in Indy Elite, how Andrew Kinsella lost his advantage. We saw it even in the iRacing Indianapolis 500, how Josh Chin had to hold on through turn 4, how it was Miller who didn't have that advantage, who wasn't able to hold on his strategy. This is down to can Liam Quinn hold on. My answer is no for the moment, but I reckon we could even see something like a game of chicken, Will, as they make their way to turn 3.
Go on, give me a winner.
Oh, no, don't do that. I'll be smug again.
I'll tell you what, if you give me a winner, I'll give you a winner.
Okay, that's going to be fair game. My money's on Bennett.
Mine's on Constantini.
Fair play.
Here we are then, on the exit of turn number 3. The south end of the racetrack. It is Liam Quinn leading by Michele Constantini, Bennett, Campbell, Ugolotti, Andreas Eek, and Marco Aurelio Brazil. They are your top 7. The only drivers who have the chance of winning this motor race. Pace car on towards pit road once again. And here we go. From here on in, a caution will end it. But the green flag is in the end. 2 more laps to go on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Jake, for the time being, Quinn has the lead.
Quinn has the lead, but watch it now through 3. Watch it as they head to turn 2. And now as they make the run to 3, Costantini picks up the run. Looks for the inside. Is going to take it. Now Bennett's going to charge for it. 3 wide, let's go. At Indy, he goes the high side to make it work. And guess what? He's challenging for the lead as well. Costantini holds on for the moment. White flag coming after this corner.
Here's Michele Constantini then. He now is in the catbird seat, but the many people who say the driver who leads at the end of the white flag lap is behind him, almost bumping between number 51 as they come in towards turn number 1 for the final time. The white flag is out in the air. There is 1 more lap to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 85 laps will be scored complete this time by. That's our race distance, and look how close it is. Anyone can still win it as they work themselves now down towards turn number 3. Constantini from Bennett. from Ugolotti in towards turn number 3. Thought will be the final time in this motor race. On board with Constantini then, as he works himself now on the exit of turn number 4. And ladies and gentlemen, here we are then. Here is your photo finish. And it's going to be Ugolotti who will get it out of the line. Or will he? No, he won't.
Constantini.
Constantini gets it by 2/100ths, 2/1000ths of a second there, Jake. Constantini holds on to win at IMS.
What a drive from Michele Constantini. You said you can't win it from the final lap, and he went and proved us wrong. Ugolotti made the channel between himself and Bennett, and how he didn't win that, I have no idea. Constantini proves everybody wrong and proves Will Vincent that he knows his IndyCar.
Constantini, let's have a look at the replay then. The number 5 machine comes down to the inside. That's Henry Bennett through turn number 3. When he exits turn number 4, it's always the case of who gets the draft. Down to the middle will go the driver, the number 14 machine. That's Matteo Ugolotti, but he doesn't have the room. The yard of bricks cost Ugolotti a chance at victory, and Michele Constantini will win out here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here are your final race results. Woof! So Michele Constantini does win over Matteo Ugolotti by 2/1000ths of a second. Get this, Jake. We have ourselves 2 drivers from Italy separated by 2/1000ths of a second, and only 63/1000ths of a second back is Henry Bennett of Club UK and Ireland.
Crazy, absolutely crazy race. Beautiful racing from them. Zach Campbell coming home 4th. Liam Quinn in 5th position, faded very late with Andreas Eek on the back of that train. Very happy, I think, Will, to get 6th place.
Yeah, having a look at 2 donuts going on right now. We've actually got the 2 Italian drivers. They're going at it. Michele Constantini is your winner here today. But, well, Italy, it seems as though they are one nation, and they're doing the donuts together, Jake.
They are, and well, it's nice to see good camaraderie between countrymen and compatriots. And I think that it just goes to prove just how difficult the challenge was. 2 completely different drives, 2,000 separate the pair of them. And I tell you what, Ugolotti just saved his championship on that one drive alone.
Yeah, let's have a look then. This is going back to the green flag, and this is with 2 laps to go. We've been on board here with Liam Quinn. He's not your winner here today, unfortunately, but we're on board with Liam Quinn. But what I want to do is I just want to show you this one from Michele Constantini. We're on board with him right now. Here's his move down to the inside. Done a back straight away in towards turn number 3. You see Henry Bennett is on his outside in towards that 3rd corner. And Constantini from here, he just does defensive driving all the way down to the end of the motor race there, Jake.
And I think the issue is that they weren't able to pick the run up into 3, because actually if you look at the final lap at turn number 2, there was a big mistake by Liam Quinn. He actually moves up the circuit almost into his teammate Henry Bennett, and that almost cost the entire race. He gets too low, he catches the apron, he moves up, he compromises everybody's run, and everybody fans out. That was the big mistake, Will, and it was Liam Quinn that cost everybody the race against Constantini.
Yeah, there's the look then towards turn number 3. We're on board. We're not on board actually. We're looking at Constantini, but here we are into 4, and there's the issue. You don't have any time to gain at that point, Jake. That's the thing.
No, you don't, and it's so difficult to make that run to the line. And I think that everybody, who's almost like a horse race in the sense that anybody who was in that group had a shot. You just need to get the magic run, and one driver got the magic run, but he was having to do it from a boxed position as well. He chose the outside line, and I wonder, well, the inside line, Will, and I wonder if he was brave enough to go to that outside line. I wonder if that path of least resistance would have gained him the 2,000ths he needed.
There's the gap just as they crossed the yard of bricks here. IMS. There's Michele Constantini on the right-hand side of your screen, and there is another 14 machine on the left-hand side. You can just see the fact they were neck and neck then. Constantini wins out, and he does actually join us here on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live, and he stood by with Jake Sperry.
Michele, that was a difficult race for you because you had pretty much 79 laps of fantastic green flag running. It comes down to a 2-lap sprint. And ultimately, it's one of the very strong defenses that we see at Indianapolis. For you, does this rank as one of your most special wins?
Oh, absolutely. This is the best win I've ever had on iRacing, that's for sure. And yeah, the first part of the race was very nice with a long green flag stint, and then Liam got me on strategy on the last stop and he got in front of me. Then I got a bit unlucky with the lapped cars, and so I had to sit back in second. And yeah, the last 2 laps were just crazy and just did the best I could do.
Do you feel that in terms of if this race went green all the way, do you feel that you would have been under pressure for 3rd position as well from Henry Bennett, given the fact that it seemed that your vehicle pretty much fell off a cliff for the final stint?
Depends. It was not a problem that I had just by myself. It was a problem in traffic. I was having, yeah, just the same as the 500 really. We had a lot of problems in traffic. Then with a high temperature today, it was even worse. But I managed to get pole, so clean air for the first 2 stints. Then Liam, as I said, got me on strategy. And maybe for 3rd, I don't know. It really depends on what the lapped cars would have done. I know the next car in line to lap would have been Marco, so probably not the easiest to lap, but yeah, depends on what the lapped cars would have done.
And seeing that you're having to fend off Matteo Ugolotti on the drive line, how difficult is it to battle with a driver at the very end of the race when you haven't seen him at all for the entirety of it?
Oh yeah, when I saw Matteo on the high side, I tried to help him as much as possible with draft by going high, obviously because I'm battling with Henry for the championship, so I want Matteo to get more points, but also because I'm a good friend with Matteo, and I'm very happy for him as well to come second. That's a very nice 1-2 for Italy club here, and yeah, I'm very happy about the result for both of us.
Italy club getting a 1-2, but before we let you go, any shout-outs or sponsors, Michele?
Yeah, I would like to thank Logical Vortex Sim Racing, my team, for putting together this awesome setup. Also, big shout out to Apex, Core, Coanda, and Burst Esports for the big help with the setup, because it was the same as the 500. Also, big shout out to David Street and Graham Bunyan, who helped as well with that. And yeah, that's about it.
Michele Costantini with the sweetest victory of his career so far, Will, and my goodness, did he have to work incredibly hard to deserve it.
Indeed he did. There's the top 10 on your screen once again. We have got the drivers of Henry Bennett and Christopher Demerits here to talk to us. We're actually going to start by talking to Henry Bennett. Henry, the month of May, you always seem to do well, but it always seems to be one step away, or 2 in this case.
Yeah, I consider this a good race, but yeah, with the 2 drivers that finished ahead of me, yeah, it's a little disappointed. Yeah, as far as the races I've had at Indy over this week and the weekend, it's a good result, I'd say. I didn't get wrecked out. So.
I want to ask you a serious question here. How many laps did you do in preparation for the iRacing Indy 500?
Not as many as my teammates, but I didn't count, but there were a lot.
And of course, the biggest race in iRacing in terms of the greatest spectacle in motorsports, the iRacing Indy 500. I don't want to go into the whole voice announcer mode here, but it's over, but we still have this one race here at Indy to kind of round out the month of May. You did come home in 3rd place here today. How does that feel to you?
Yeah, I'm relatively happy. A bit disappointed, as I say, because my championship contenders ahead of me. And without that yellow, I think I may have been able to get second. I saw Michele was struggling on old tyres in dirty air, so that was a possibility. But I survived, so I'm happy. Okay,
next time out, of course, another race, another racetrack. But for tonight, who gets it done for you?
Everyone at Powerslide Motorsports, and especially our new signing, Zach Campbell, who played the perfect team game, was helping me all the way along. So yeah, big thumbs up to him.
We're actually going to talk to Zach Campbell in about 30 seconds' time. But Jake, of course, this Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a track that everyone knows and everyone loves. If you want to be something or anything in terms of iRacing, you've got to get it right in terms of Indy. But next week, we head ourselves over to arguably one of the most difficult road courses that there are, Watkins Glen International.
And Watkins Glen is one of those circuits which really does test a driver, and more than what people would normally expect it to test. It's got the elevation change of any given great circuit. It's got the wide open expansiveness that, say, maybe an airfield style circuit would have. And it also has the overtaking difficulty of any given oval ever. It is pretty much the perfect blend of track, vehicle, and also action and competition. I think there's no greater circuit for a finale than maybe Interlagos. Watkins Glen comes a very, and I mean very close second.
Yeah, and of course, that'll be here on Racesport TV next weekend. That's what we had here today in Indianapolis, by the way. 89 degrees Fahrenheit air temperature and 81% race relative humidity. One thing I want to say as well, Jake, before we go to our next interviewee, that'll be Zach Campbell, is that Watkins Glen does not have a corner that is not banked in some way or shape or form.
And that's just going to play havoc with the tyres as well, and the setup, because you're always looking to try and find maybe the corners that you can do well at, but you also know that there will always be a corner that you're going to be losing time on compared to your rivals. It's almost impossible to set up for, and because of that, it is pretty much the Swiss Army knife of sim racing. If you want to go and make it, you have to get a setup very similar to Suzuka that does all things very, very well.
Zach Campbell, welcome to Racesport TV.
Thank you. That race was a blast to run, and that was my first ever IndyCar Super Speedway race. So it was definitely a crash course in just about everything.
Well, you did come home P number 4 here today. Talk us through your experiences.
Well, I just want to say thank you for Powerslide for picking me up actually just yesterday, and I came on here and they helped me a lot in practicing for the race and really understanding this car and everything that goes on with it. And ended up, I was trying to help Henry the entire race pretty much, and he helped me just understand everything about it. And feel like that maybe without the caution, both of us might have been able to get to Michele. But of course the caution came out and just set up that insane run to the end, and definitely set up an insane run for me. The first time I've ever been in a pack like that, and it was insane.
Well, you did come in P number 4 here today. Of course, you got Watkins Glen International in 1 week's time. Do you think that Watkins Glen will be better suited to you, or was this your one big race to make a statement?
Watkins Glen is just another road course, and similar kind of in characteristics almost. It's like a low downforce version of Barber in a way, where I won the broadcasted race, and road courses are really my bread and butter in this car, and I'm really excited to get back to one of them and see just what I can do there.
Well, Zach Campbell, P number 4 here today. And well, Jake, one thing that's worth noting is just how close it was at the front of your field at the end of this one.
Oh, it was incredibly close, and it was always going to be a disaster-filled race for some, but it was always going to be one where Triumph certainly could make itself available. But you know, it's one of those races where it doesn't matter what your name is, who you are, you don't forgive, and you don't forget if you are an Indianapolis Motor Speedway course.
Yeah, we have got one more driver here to talk to. That is Christopher Demerit. Christopher Demerit, hello.
Hi, Will. What's up?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
Well, what do you do here today? You come home P number 16. What was your issue?
Mostly comes down to downforce that we can put on the car, really. We've struggled the whole month with putting more downforce on the car, and we ran as much downforce as we can put on. So, especially with how hot the track was today and with the wind, there was a big gust of wind in turn 1 that almost caught Michele out from the lead even. And for me behind drafting, I had almost no chance to make the corner once I realized it was too late.
Well, Broken Arrow is one of the best teams, if not the best team, in the DW12 at IMS. What about now? How tuned in are Broken Arrow, and how much are you looking forward to developing that car, the IR18, as we go to the 2019, 2020? And also building up to 2021 with, 200 more horsepower in terms of these IndyCars.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. We've generally had less time with all the other teams because we've all been so much busy. We had it was the first 2 weeks that we worked on the car, and then Indy week during qualifying is when we worked on the car. I mean, we still had a fast car. It was just we couldn't follow people as close as everyone else. We won the first Indy 500 for 2018, so we know the car's there. We just need to tweak it a little bit more.
Well, you are Christopher Demerit. You do come home P number 16. Not the day you would have wanted, but who do you want to give a shout out to?
Got to give a shout out in general to Broken Arrow as a whole. We built a pretty good car. We need to improve a few things, but it's one of the fastest cars that I've seen on track. Huge shout out to Trano, Ryan Norton, Matt Pavelski, everyone on Broken Arrow.
Well, thank you very much, Christopher Demerit. Jake, final thoughts.
Fantastic race. It deserved everything that it got. It showed both sides of Indianapolis quite nicely. It showed the green flag expansive runnings that showcased just how difficult it can be to keep yourself in a pack and running to the best of your ability. And it also showed the close quarters combat racing with not many laps to go. That is why everybody loves Indianapolis at the very, very core. A perfect race, some may say. A perfect race ahead to arguably a perfect series finale.
Yeah, tonight we've also got, of course, Global Rally Cross at Daytona and the USAC 360 Series at Lanier Motorsports Park. And then tomorrow we got ourselves a sports car open at Road America 500. And also the Club Sports Series powered by DGFX. Two big races going on tomorrow there, Jake. And they're going to be both fun to watch in terms of our GT fellows.
And especially when it has hold of a lot of bearings for later on in the year. Club Sport, powered by DGFX, is effectively the feeder series to the Neo Endurance Series. It's important to get the results out of that one because that could feed you with an opportunity to race in the Neo Endurance Series for the 2018-19 season. And let's not forget that the Sports Car Open arguably stands as one of the great breakout series of 2017 into 2018 with their special events. I love the fact that it's been putting on some great showings. And a Road America 500, well, we're not getting one this year for iRacing special events, but it will certainly be a 3 hours worth pursuing.
The V8 Supercar Series will be at the Nürburgring for the V8 Super Truck Series. That'll be 9 p.m. tomorrow night here on Racesport TV. And then Sunday night here on Racesport TV, Jake, it's the final round. Snatterton 300 for the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation.
And the championship did not get any closer. Laibert versus Lockwood. The man, Mr. 2K World Cup, against the man who has never been in the championship dance before. It's going to be a classic, so make sure that you tune in on Sunday and watch.
And of course, Monday Night Skippies rounds out our events as well. That will also be at Snatterton. That'll be at 8 p.m. GMT. Monday Night Skippies with Rachel Whiteford, Linus Bronstrom, and Connery Maddock. Well, for all you people getting ready for the greatest weekend in motorsports, I hope you have fun. Of course, we've got the big three, the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indianapolis 500, and the Coca-Cola 600. But if you're a motorsports fan, it's not just about those races. It's about anything else that takes place that weekend, be it on sim racing, be it in real life racing, be it WTCC, be it any form of club mode of motorsports. And one thing, Jake, that's worth thinking about is that racing is racing.
Racing is racing, no matter what form it comes in. We love racing. It doesn't matter what we've got to get there. We all are part of the same community, no matter what we like and don't like. We're a family, Will, and that goes between me and you in terms of broadcasters, but it goes to every single fan watching this and every single fan across the globe. We're all fans. Doesn't matter who we support, who we don't support. Racing wins first.
Indeed so. So, of course, enjoy the Memorial Day weekend if you're in America. If you're living in the United Kingdom, happy bank holiday weekend to you. Across Europe, well, we hope you have a great weekend as well. We also want to say a shout out, of course, to our friend Total Biscuit, John Bain, of course, losing his life just within the last 24 hours at the age of 33. We talk about calm, we talk about all the work we do on Racesport TV. It means nothing. And you've got people who have just such inspirational ways of putting across their views. A shout out to Total Biscuit. Good night from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.